Welcome, everybody, to the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly podcast. I'm head coach Derek Johnson. I'm not Coach Woodrich.
No, not this week.
Slightly smaller individual over here. And by my side, as always, Coach Gabe Hovden, middle school coach, MinUSA director for the OWA, captain's practice, drill sergeant, traveler to all the tournaments any kid wants to go to, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah.
Empty nester now, so, I mean, what else do I got to do?
Right. Well, and we flipped to February, and so we're going to highlight yet another OWA sponsor, and that's Owatonna Glass. Mr. Ben Wilson over there, Owatonna wrestling legend. He recently took over, and they specialize in glass storefronts, steel doors, glass repair, windows, mirrors, glass shower doors, plexiglass, anything for your glass needs. They pride themselves on doing great work and the best quality workmanship, and knowing him and his business partner's work ethic, that is very easily backed up and founded. So thank you to Owatonna Glass and for being a big part of this wrestling community, even though, Ben, your children didn't go down that route. So we forgive you.
That's okay.
Yeah. So... Well, we came out of a tumultuous week. So for those of you who just saw like box scores, might have been like, what the heck happened? Nope. It was so when we came out of our Casas team tournament a few Saturdays ago, we ended up being down now for a hot second. We were down 8 starters, but for Albert Lea, we were down 7 of our starters. And it's hard to do that with a team like Albert Lea, who's 6th ranked, and they're peaking right now. They just recently got back 3 guys that have been injured all season. 2 of them are ranked. So it's like they're getting healthy as we were kind of falling off a cliff for a hot second. So we were down. Gabe Robb was sick. Lane Karsten's been hobbling on one leg. Glende with hip flexor issues still going on. Riley Kreeger, who's going to be on the podcast today, he went down with a knee against Mayo. Blake Fitcher went down with an ankle against Shakopee. Down Flemke, down a bunch of people. Yes. And then also it was, people like RJ Reinardy and Trey Hyatt went into the Albert Lea duel also sick and just gutted it out the best they could. Albert Lea, we dropped Varsity 57-5. Won one match, but the replacements we brought in also fought pretty darn hard. Calhoun, Noah Calhoun, freshman 152. He's been peaking at the right time. We put him in for Glende, and he went out and almost defeated one of their senior captains, one of the Attic twins.
Yep.
That was cool. Logan Risser had Titan Cox on his back with time running out, had him pinned.
Yes. I'll just
we don't
be
need
quiet.
to talk about the referee and stuff. But here's the deal. Either way, this is Albert Lea's peak year. Yep. We would have had to pull out some crazy upsets anyway with a full roster. They're that solid this year. They are very senior heavy. So no matter what, this is probably still their year. And we said that, going into the season, like Albert Lea has one more year on top, most likely where they're favored. This is the one. And then after that, as long as we keep progressing like we should, right now we're out to a lead as far as who we have behind.
Yep.
However, they're hard workers. We can't just say, well, someday we're going to be better because right now we're better. Yeah. So Kaden Lindquist, number 4 ranked. He was our only points with a tech over Maggie Olson. And she was actually pretty dang tough.
You could tell she was coached not to get pinned.
Right. And he kept giving her a breather by his nose bleeding.
Yes.
So he's having a little trouble with that lately. And honestly, otherwise he probably would have racked up a tech pretty quick.
Yeah. But it would have came a lot faster for that tech.
Exactly. And then a couple days later, we went to Saturday. The boys varsity went to Maple River, the Takedown on 22 tournament. That's for Maple River, Minnesota, this little tiny tournament with like 12 teams. It is so stinking tough. So Jackson County Central's there, New Prague's there, Watertown Mayor, number 1 ranked in Class 2A, is there. WEM JWP, who has some really good standout individuals, is there. Chaska Chan was there. It's Mankato East, who's tough this year. They went there. They weren't in that tournament years before. So we had some brackets in this tiny tournament. Like 121 had the number 1 returning state champ, Joel Fredericks of Watertown Mayor. The 2 seed in that bracket was Lawson Eller, who is number 2 ranked in AAA, returning state champ. The number 3 seed for that was a Jackson County Central kid who's number 2 ranked from Jackson. The 4 seed was Jackson Stensrud of Mankato East, who's number 4 ranked in AA. So if Gabe Robb hadn't been sick, Gabe Robb would have been the 5th seed in a tiny small town tournament. It was there were some crazy like all-star matches in the finals. And yeah, that's just a tough tournament anyway. And so same people were out. Plus Trey Hyatt had another knee issue in school actually on Friday. So he was out for Saturday. So we're down even another kid. And Kaden Lindquist, he had a couple toughish kids in his bracket. He breezed through and dominated throughout and took first at 107. We also, as a non-scorer, entered Miles Aase in, freshman Aase, little undersized for 107. If he would have, he had the number 2 seed. He was beating him 5-3 late in the second, got caught and pinned feet to back. If he wins that, he coasts to the finals and wrestles Kaden Lindquist in the finals. So he had a good day. I believe he went 3-2. I mean, it was a big bracket. 107 was huge.
And so this tournament, you could have as many guys in there. You just had to pick your scores.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, just picking scores. Okay. And so we had 3 weights we were going to double enter, and then we had another guy out that day. Jacob Wilson at 114 had a good day. So he just had a bad draw. He got brought in as like the 4 seed due to record or whatever. If he would have been on the bottom side of the bracket, he would have made the finals. He would have killed everyone. It was the number 1 seed was Jackson, and he's extremely tough. And so he went, I believe it was 3-1 on the day, just losing to the Jackson kid. And Jacob's doing awesome lately, so that's great. Parker Casas, fan favorite Parker Casas at 139. He had a big day, went 3-2, looked extremely dominant. He's out today with he injured his knee with like 2 matches left to go on Saturday. So he gutted that out as best as he could. And he racked up a tech fall in his last match. He was going takedowns and stuff. So he did some really gutsy stuff. He took 5th place, which was cool to see. And then RJ Reinardy and Carter Flatland were both entered in at 172. They wrestled for the 5th place match, 5th and 6th, and RJ won that. But both of them, I believe, went 3-2 on the day. 172 was a huge bracket and extremely tough. And then Logan Risser, 5th at 189. He's just getting better and better. It's cool to see him put it together. And he had a tech fall, I believe. No, pin in the 5th place match, which was awesome.
Good.
And the only non-placer was Caden Keller at heavyweight. And heavyweight was crazy stacked. It had Sam Winkles, number 2 ranked from Austin. It had Alt from WEM, a 2-time returning state champ, 3-time returning state champ, and then 2 other really tough kids. It's just
you just get 2 guys that are top 3 in the state. That's a tough bracket. Yeah, you got to be 1 just to get to the finals, or even get to the next placing round.
Right. And so we look at it and we're like, okay, we only had 6 or 7 guys place. We only entered 8 people because everyone else was injured. So Lane would have done some real damage in that tournament. I'm pretty sure Trey would have been pretty deep. Colton Glende, 152, was actually a little on the younger side or the easier side. Yeah. He probably would have made the finals. And then we have another guy that we're about to have on here that probably would have made the finals as the 2 seed too. So we looked tough. We looked tough all weekend. Then we had Big 9 conference stuff. So we had girls varsity doing their first ever Big 9 conference meet. This was all at Rochester John Marshall. And so kind of running down here, our girls all conference, this was to determine you had to take first place. Isabelle Townley at 106, McKayla Selle at 136, Ella Montanye at 142, and Aliah Fischer at 148. Now, there was some very small 2 and 3 girl brackets, but that's the whole deal is like, yeah, there's going to be more.
Yeah.
Like the more this builds and everything, they just wanted to get this established. And I really like that.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, every other girls sport and boys sport, everybody has a Big 9 conference. So it's got to start somewhere.
And we as coaches kind of tossed around the idea of, well, in the past, girls have been wrestling at the Big 9 JV tournament. And what if they make top 5? Does that make them all conference? And we just, in the end, especially we've seen some examples. Like Ryan Grunwald was a finalist for Big 9 JV, but Ella Pagel, national champion, was a finalist, didn't win Big 9 JV. So it's like, what kind of measuring stick are we really using? And we just thought, in the end, we all kind of compromised and like, okay, it should just be its own tournament. And Kayla Pastika took second. She's in an incredibly stacked Section 1 right now. So the top 5 ranked girls in the state are above her, are all Section 1. So taking second in the conference meet is pretty cool. But and then Harmony was also a finalist, and Lucinda Ornelas took third, but technically kind of took second. So Isabelle was the only member of the 106 bracket for the whole tournament. And so she voluntarily bumped up just to get some matches to 112, took second, while Lucinda took third. So it stands to reason Lucinda might have taken second in that tournament. But had a really good 3-1 match with Maggie Olson in the finals, Isabelle. So, and then boys JV, all conference, we took second overall. We won it last year. However, we had 5 open weights, which did not help. Still took second, though. Want to highlight a few guys. Jacob Ricks took first at 127. This is such a hardworking kid, and he asked for permission. He's been getting a little varsity time as of late, but just said, look, I want to use it as a measuring stick. I'm going to go out and I'm going to win Big 9 JV, and I'm going to dominate. And he did. So congrats to Jacob Ricks. Other first place finisher, Will Frantessel, 160, freshman. So Jacob Ricks, sophomore. Will Frantessel, freshman. Trevor Townley technically took third. Some scoring errors that weren't fixed until after the fact. I'm unofficially putting him as a champion for Big 9 JV because he should have been.
I heard something about a batch. The table had it wrong and it just wasn't caught.
You get a JV tournament ran by kids at the table and by, maybe not the top tier refs and stuff like that. And it's just so much going on. And so I understand it. It's been hard enough with this new scoring to keep track, honestly. We had to do it in Westfield a few times where it's like, what was that? Yeah, like, because you're just so used to being like, well, two takedown, 1 up, and instead of 3 and 1, and reversals 2 and
4 back points.
Yeah, so I do understand. And then Feltzy, senior, 189, told him, you go out there and you tear people up, and he did. So he was also the Big 9 JV champ. And then freshman Noah Calhoun took second. Sophomore Alex Neitzel took second. 7th grader Mason Sorensen took third at 95 pounds. And then 7th grader Owen Flatland took third at 121. Freshman Drake Johnson, 6th at 133. Junior Logan Petrowski, 6th at 160. And freshman 172 Travis Neitzel took 6th. So congrats to all of those guys. And if we fill out a full JV roster, which typically at this tournament, we're supplementing it with, like, some of our best lower weights are the girls. And not having a 100, a 107, a 100, a 107, or a 114 right off the bat kind of hurt.
And I see 3 girls that weigh that.
Exactly. The boom, boom, boom. All of them would have placed top 3. That kind of stinks, but still pretty satisfied. The youth movement we have going on feels pretty dang good. As long as they stay on track. And I think they are. Like, this batch of the underclassmen, more than we've seen before, are talking about, like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do in the offseason. They're just motivated, or they're asking, what more can we do? So more than we've seen before. So that's awesome. So that was our Saturday. We were spread out. And then this upcoming Thursday, home meet, we have a try with Rochester JM and Mankato West. So it's senior senior recognition night, and we'll be recognizing the parents too. We start at 5 o'clock, first round with JM. Then we have a bye with JM and West wrestling each other at about 6:15. Then right after we get done with that, and we're going to be rolling through JV matches with West to the point of clearing all of that off our plate and only leaving Varsity versus West. We'll roll up a mat. The lamp will already be down. We'll hit the lights, just like we did for the Owatonna Girls Classic, and we'll wrestle under the lamp against West. So that'll be pretty cool. That should be about 7:30, 7:45 by the time we get going for that. And we just, we need to be under the lamp.
Yeah.
Got to have that. So,
and speaking of the lamp, I was watching on some social media, and I think we need to do this. Our elementary needs to wrestle underneath the lamp before a varsity match.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I watched this little video of these little tykes running around. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
They thought they were just little gods.
Right.
Yep. We got to figure out some dual match where we have our youth against somebody else's little youth. Just, maybe 6 matches, draw them out of a hat, let them go and wrestle underneath the light some night for something.
Sure.
But the more we can get underneath that light for everybody, the better off we'll be.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And then, girls. So we then turn around and girls have their section individual tournament Friday and Saturday. So they'll be at Rochester Century those 2 days. And, that'll be cool to see. It'll be good that it's that close, and we can go back and forth and everything like that. So Friday, Saturday there.
Friday, Saturday. All right. Well, I'll go with the middle school.
Sure.
On Thursday was our last match against Albert Lea. I want to say, the score was, we kept score through every match. So it was 83-78.
That's a lot of scoring.
Yes. We started off great. Jumped up 22 to maybe 5. And then all of a sudden, Albert Lea in the middle.
Yeah.
And we don't have, it's not not from lowest to heaviest. It's just random kids going out there. Then Albert Lea kind of stuck it to us, and they started headlocking us from every position.
Yep.
And it started getting out of control. And I'm starting to look at our match count coming down, and the varsity's cheering on. Luke Casas. Luke Casas.
That was huge.
He did throw the guy one big one, got some big points, and then they got back up to their feet. The guy went to throw him, and he ended up on top of him, just didn't pin him. And come to the next period, I turn around and I had to look at the high school kids because they're all yelling at me to go both up. Well, this kid has tried headlocking him twice. Yeah. We're winning 14-0. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, Luke, you're going. We're taking this tack. And I could just hear all the high school kids just, ooh, let him throw him. I'm like, no, we need these wins.
Yeah.
And then that brought us back into striking range again. And then I can't remember who it was, and it doesn't matter, but I think we got headlocked, and that just put them out of catching range. And then Aliah Glende came out.
Yeah.
And
that was cool.
Was down going into the third period. And if I could get every kid to listen, what we were yelling, she was doing exactly what we were yelling. When we yelled it, told her what to do, she ended up taking her down, I think, 2 or 3 times with less than a minute left, and then ended up putting on a half and pinning her.
Yeah, down 2. And you guys are telling her to let her up.
And then all of a sudden her hand came up for a half, and then we're like, run it.
Never mind.
Never mind. Don't let her go.
The girl was perfectly flat and pretty toast. Aliah still had a lot in her gas tank, and that girl didn't.
And I think it was great for her. I mean, maybe a total of 12 practices. Right. She came out late in the season, and to accomplish that, the last match of the season, and come off with that win, that was great.
Right. Yeah, I went up to her afterwards, and jokingly, of course, I go, finally, there's a hardworking Glende in the program. No, Colton's a consummate professional. He's so hardworking. But that was cool to see that she was, just in the zone.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't panicking that she was, she was down probably a good 7 points going in the third period or something. And or more than that. Because she had to get a few takedowns.
She had to get three
within.
to get to tie it. It was 3 takedowns with that other girl getting her 1 point escapes.
So she's probably down like 8 or something at that point. Yeah.
So she came back, but now for the middle school, we do start. I mean, every wrestler did get a calendar, an actual paper calendar. Not they can't say, "Oh, I don't have it." No, everyone got a paper calendar of when we're going to practice and which tournaments. I think they should open tournaments that they should go to. It is the USA. So tomorrow night, Ryan Fischer will be in there to help the parents figure out how to register. If they have any questions, I will be sending out an email tonight on that again.
So that is Tuesday night's practice. If you're watching this Tuesday, it's tonight.
Yep. And we also have practice on Wednesday. We'll be able to go through it then too, because I already got a couple texts. Hey, we can't make it. We got volleyball, or we got stuff going on. Can we do it on Wednesday? Yes, you can. So, but we do have practices for folk style all the way up until I think it's the week after the state high school tournament is folk style wrestling still. So
that's like the second weekend in March that Men USA goes through the individuals.
And then there is a state tournament for MN USA and there's different qualifications. That's what parents, you should come tomorrow night. Also, then we would be rolling into freestyle.
Yeah.
And that would be with the high school kids, K through 12th grade. So, but more info will come out on that probably in the next week or two.
Good deal. And also along those same lines, we will be starting our lifting almost immediately after the season too, like our offerings for that. If you're not in a spring sport that lifts, so not just in a spring sport, but a spring sport that lifts. We'll have the weight room. I'll get those details out, but Monday through Thursday at the high school weight room. This is a program designed through the Owatonna Strength and Conditioning Program. It worked so well for the kids who really dedicated themselves this off season. You want to hear about, your Colton Glendes, your Gabe Robbs, these young guns. We're going to have one on very shortly. Kreeger and his younger brothers, Noah Calhoun and my favorite Calhoun Cole. Just kidding. I tell him that all the time, and I make sure to do it right in front of Riley too. So you can just tell who was a part of that program with how much they jumped in ability, just from pure strength standpoint. So, well, that's awesome. That's great that we have a continuing thing that the middle school can do basically through the high school wrestling season another week after that. And then, we'll be getting everybody in for freestyle and Greco. I know there's a lot of people that are saying this is finally the year. I believe it.
I hope everybody that has said they're going to try and come out. I really hope they do. It's mat time, just even to get on the mat, just practice, because the guys that are competing still need practice partners.
Right.
The ones that do go to the tournaments, they still need their teammates in that room. To have somebody to practice with. So,
it's great to reinforce those positions and feel really solid with maybe some stuff you don't normally run into with folk style, but nonetheless it translates.
Yes, and it's not a conditioning practice. You got plenty of time to do that on your own. It's 2 days a week.
In fact, you'll still have energy to where you can go right into lifting right after freestyle and Greco practice. Boom. There you go.
There it is.
Just go right upstairs.
Yep. And so it's a quick hour. I mean, our practices for the USA are about an hour and 15 minutes.
Sure.
We go over the technique, we review our technique, and then we just wrestle.
Yeah.
And have fun. That's good. It's a fun time. So
awesome. Well, we'll be talking to one of these wrestlers that are definitely going to dedicate themselves to this. We have it in blood. And we'll be right back with Mr. Riley Kreeger. All right. Welcome, everybody, back to the Owatonna Wrestling Weekly podcast. I'm Coach Derek Johnson, here with Coach Gabe Hubden, and here with junior rising star, Mr. Riley Kreeger. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good.
That's good. That's good. Well, so Riley, you could probably, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see his knee brace under the table. He suffered a pretty gruesome knee injury against Mayo, but luckily is already cleared to return back to getting some action in practice. And In the back of our minds, we were hoping by team sections, but it looks like you might even be getting back a little sooner than that. So
That's
awesome.
That's what the doctor said. I went there about 4 days ago now, I think it was, and she said everything looks fine, nothing seems torn or anything. So she said I could come back to practice.
It's awesome.
That's good.
So yeah, easing them back in little by little, and that's good. So if you don't know Riley's style, he's extremely electric. Always has been, always been a pinner. He's 8'3" tall. And so he's able to just grab anything. But now I don't know if there's a harder worker in the weight room all off season than you. And it clearly shows because now there's a lot of muscle behind the fun stuff you want to hit. Take us a little through that mindset, all the prep you did in the off season.
I didn't really have anything else going on, and I really love to lift. It's a good time out of my day, and it keeps me and my brothers out of trouble. I really try to push Noah and Cole to lift because it's a big part. You need to lift if you want to be really good. I mean, it takes a big part to be a good wrestler. You need to lift.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be an either or, and now it's no, you got to do both. You got to do some off season wrestling, but then you got to be weight training,
Yeah, be strong enough to take your weight. Don't have to cut to your weight.
Exactly. And you're started the season up at 172. Last year you were a light 152. The year before that, 127 here and there. So really both shot up in height, but also packed it on, prepared yourself. What's been that like now that you're wrestling the bigger boys at 60 and 172? What does that feel like? Or have you had to do anything with your style?
I mean, it's definitely harder going up in that weight. It takes a lot of adjusting because I would say when I was wrestling lighter weights, it was kind of just shots and everything, take shots and everything. But now you got to look out for throws or kids that are just small and jacked. Those kids. But I really, being as tall as I am and wrestling those shorter kids, because that's what most of those kids are a lot shorter than I am. I really got to keep a low stance for that, so I can protect my legs and everything. But otherwise, it's not too bad, and I enjoy it more.
Yeah. When we got you back taking your shots, what's your favorite takedown? What's your go-to?
I really try to go for the ankle pick. Otherwise, it's that single. I really love that sweep single.
Right. Yeah. When you shoot.
Yeah, when I do shoot.
And we are getting you to shoot, so that's good. For those of you who don't know, Riley does a really good job of being a spider, and so it's almost like you want him to take a shot in on you because then you're in both ankles. You're a spladler. You like all that type of stuff, but you get to a certain point where these jacked kids, that stuff doesn't work. So when you're with your 9-foot wingspan grabbing an ankle, that's just so nasty.
Yep.
Yeah. How about on top? What are you working?
I really love the rebar.
Yeah.
Kids they don't see it coming. It's just right there. The rebar is definitely my favorite on top. Otherwise, I'll go for a tilt, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you work some good claw and hopefully some cross elbow type of work too. And yeah, that's good. Well, what's your goal? So it's your junior year. Last year you placed at sections, and you walked away, I think, both pretty proud of yourself, but also hungry. And so what's your expectations this year for individual sections?
I think going into it, I think I'm going to be able to fly through it. And then I think Zane and Corman, those are going to be real tough matches. But I think me and Zane, I think it'll be a really close match. Yeah. Me and Corman, I've been a bit iffy on that one. I really don't know yet.
Yeah. It's, for those of you who don't know, 160 for Section 1 AAA this year. Two ranked kids, Zane Engels and Nick Corman, Northfield and Albert Lea. Pretty top heavy in that bracket. We have a few of those brackets this year again. And yeah, Riley's in the mix of it. But yeah, Zane Engels really reminds me of you. Whereas, and that's why I do think, like you said, it's probably winnable versus, Corman wrestles like a college kid. He's strong as heck and explosive and pretty dominant. But yeah, no, that's great. And then, okay, so how about what's been your signature match thinking back to earlier in the year before you got injured? Like, what's one you really hung your hat on and were proud of?
I really don't know. There's a lot of these matches that I had this year, like when we first started off the year, like against Farmington, that kid definitely wasn't up at my skill level.
Yeah.
But that Simley match, that one really surprised me.
Yeah.
I didn't think that one was gonna go that way that quick.
Yeah, and so you got a pin against Semley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, against the number 2 ranked team in the state. Put us back in the duel. Because, I mean, I would say that was, in our mind, a 50-50. They didn't know who you were. So you going out and getting the pin was pretty, like, I think, jarring for them. They weren't expecting that. And suddenly we're back in it and within striking distance of Simley. So that was awesome. I would agree with that. I would also say your Scott West
yeah, that one
was
too.
pretty crucial. That was a little wild, a little back and forth at the beginning because you were both like 2 cats in a burlap sack going crazy. But you came out on top, got the stick, and once again kind of gave us breathing room in a way that we were just like, oh, this might come down to heavyweight. Kind of did, but not really. But you were a reason for it, so that was awesome.
I forgot about that match.
Yeah, that was a good match. Well, Coach, do you have a...
Yeah, so what are your, I mean, at the beginning of the season, you had some individual goals for the team and individually. What are they still the same goals, or have you upped them goals?
I would say now that I'm wrestling 160, my individual goals for that has definitely changed. I really want to try to go make it to state this year for sure. And for my team goals, I really want to get closer with some of my teammates. I think there's a few kids that I definitely could be getting closer with. But otherwise, it's just trying my hardest with this team and doing what I can do.
Yep. So you got one more year after this. Next year, where do you see your team goals next year?
Next year, I'm definitely for my team goals, I'm definitely a bit stricter. Making sure kids are really doing what they need to do in the room. Really lifting in the weight room, trying in practice. Definitely not messing around because we got a few kids in that room that definitely mess around at practice. But really, just being another coach to some of these kids that need it.
Okay.
And it's handy having you right around the same weight as Carter Flatland. You guys have gotten pretty tight since they moved to town, and you guys battle really well in practice, and you both are dedicated to the weight room. And so, yeah, that's been really great. Your class overall, we've had some guys drop out, and but at the same time, like we're extremely excited because I think your grade, more than some of the other ones, had a lot of early success, a lot of like you guys breezed through Big 9 JV tournament when you were freshmen and stuff like that. Now maybe reality setting in a little bit of like time's running out. I gotta do this now. I gotta be all in. And I can kind of get that sense that you guys are really starting to take it seriously. So
I'm really seeing Trevor Townley. I think he's definitely working his way up.
Yeah. Townley is super fun. Personality-wise, extremely fun. Wrestling-wise, pretty fun because he loves what he loves, and he's a big cow catcher boy. But working with him, like, fine, we'll go upper body. You want to go upper body? I got some tricks for you. But yeah, I think guys like him, guys like Risser, like some of the guys that maybe just felt like they're going to be behind people their whole time are seeing that light. And I'm excited to see what happens when these guys truly go all in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think, saw that between last year and this year for you. You finally went all in. And now I think you're even going to go harder. Like I said, with off-season stuff, it'd be great to get you in situations and wrestle a little bit in the off-season. And I know lifting's just second nature to you now.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love lifting now.
Yeah.
I'm so dedicated to it. But I really think since last year, I think I've matured a lot in wrestling since last year. But I just really think I've matured a lot.
Yeah.
All right, I got a new question. I haven't asked anybody else this one. So after weigh-ins, what's the first thing that goes in your mouth?
Not food. I'd go straight for water.
Water?
Water first.
Water, and then, what food goes into your mouth next then?
Probably either fruit or chicken that I bring.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing is, so Riley had to get a little strict with diet this year. I still wouldn't call it weight cutting, just kind of get healthy. And even that level of maturity of luckily.
Going for fruit and chicken and not a very fine fruit punch. And
It's weird to me though. I'll say oddly, and please don't take offense to it. A lot of these guys, I was like, okay, we're asking them to go down. They're going to yo-yo. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle it mentally and discipline of staying healthy and doing it the right way. And you, Wilson, like all these guys have been extremely responsible. And so I'm pretty dang impressed with what you've done. Even your younger brother, Noah, who got healthy going down to 152.
I really try to keep Noah in line with that. Like at home, I have my mom help. I help my mom make meal preps and stuff.
Sure.
For meats and stuff, and for when I go home. I just getting a lot of healthy food into the house because Noah, it was really hard to get Noah to switch to that. But now that he's gotten used to it, I think that it'll be.
it's a good habit.
Yeah.
Once you do it, it's a great habit.
Well, and you could tell his motor's better.
Oh yeah.
His third periods are so much like the fact that he's still going 100 miles an hour. He had a great kind of debut match on varsity against Albert Lea against a senior, and he was still going for takedowns late in the match. And I don't think early season Noah does that regardless of how hard he worked in practice. It's just now the diet's matching, and I think you can just tell he feels better.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that match really surprised me because a lot of the times, like I don't mean for Noah like to diss on Noah or anything,
A little
but
brotherly.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
but Noah, like he's a really good wrestler. It's just when matches get hard, he doesn't like to try as much in the end.
Yeah, there's some mental. I mean, he's a freshman.
Yeah.
There's mental toughness issues with almost all the freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
But that match, I seen a lot of things in that match that I haven't seen Noah in the match before.
Maturity.
For sure.
And when he came off the mat, he was like pumped. He was pumped about what he accomplished. He wasn't like freaking out, throwing a headgear, getting emotional after a loss in front of a lot of people. He recognized his own progress, and that was cool to see. Is that emotional maturity too?
And at home, like I'll work on some stuff with him at home. Like I worked on it. I helped him work on with his tie because he's got that super wide open tie. That he's gotta close it up, make it a bit tighter, and then his shooting. He's shooting a little bit too far, but other than that, I really liked that match. That looked pretty good.
And he gets out from underneath now pretty dang consistently, which is cool to see too. So something that we're all improving on, right?
I try.
Yeah,
I try.
yeah.
All right. So, what's in your earbuds or on your headphones before a match?
I'm listening to whatever. Really, I just have a mix of music.
Okay.
It's definitely not country. I do not have country.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay.
But I got some classic rock in there. I got rap in there. Really, just a mix of music.
Okay.
Nice. So you don't have like a favorite band?
If I were to have a favorite band, it's probably gonna be Five Finger Death Punch.
Okay. There you go.
I really like some of their music. I'm thinking about using one of their songs as a walkout song.
As
this
your
week.
walkout this week? Nice. Well, that's good. Well, how about shout outs? Anybody want to say hi to on here on the airwaves?
I'll say hi to my brothers Noah and Cole. Really hoping that they really stick to wrestling. They're pretty good. They're getting pretty good. But I'll say hi to my mom and my girlfriend Avea.
Gotcha. Who's the manager with the program?
Yep.
Boom. Everybody's involved.
Boom.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for.
Thank you.
You said it, but I would have said it anyway. Your maturity, your progression from kind of, you were a little kind of clownish 8th grade freshman year as far as just not taking much seriously to now. And it started last year, really, though, of like you applying yourself and trying to bring people with you on that journey has been awesome. So
And you're putting in the time in the gym. And I mean, I witnessed that firsthand. I was going to say from the beginning of the year till the end of lifting, there was a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, and
Good. It's only going to make you better in not only in wrestling but in everything. So
Exactly. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you having on.
No problem.
And one more thank you to Owatonna Glass, Ben Wilson over there and his staff, doing extremely high quality work. If you know anything about Ben, you know that he is a stickler and extremely determined to get the job done right. So thank you to sponsoring this podcast, as well as the Owatonna Wrestling Association in general. That's Owatonna Glass. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next Tuesday.